Okay. I guess that's all I have to do. Okay. So hey there. I am in the mood to finish this one, which is a painting of the garden I grew up in, and it's based on a photo my mom took. So over here, I've got a iPad with the photo. Unfortunately, it's not very good resolution. It was like it's kind of blurry, but you know, that's okay. It'll work for me. Anyhow, so my brother and I used to play football here, and what would happen is the ball would get, or we would like stumble into the flowers, which apparently are Scilla flowers. That's what they're called, apparently. And my mom would always yell, "Get the heck out of the flowers! You're ruining the flowers!" And we would like tiptoe out of the flowers, crushing more as we went, because my brother is even bigger than me. He's probably like 6'3", and he was a real football player. I just looked like a football player, but he was actually a semi-pro football player. So we destroyed many of the Scilla flowers and whatever was growing there. Anyway, let me just tell you quickly my intentions. There's an artist named Peter Doig who I discovered not too long ago, who I really love his stuff. I think he was originally from Scotland, but lived in Canada for a while, and now he's down in Trinidad, so he kind of has a pretty cool lifestyle. But when he was in Canada, he did some nice paintings. And that Rainbow Bridge painting that I did about 2 years ago was totally based off his Rainbow Bridge, in the sense that it was the same subject matter. And what I liked about it, the fact was, I mean, I live just around the corner from that Rainbow Bridge. So I've my whole life going up the DVP, I always seen that Rainbow Bridge appealed to me. And so it was like a little bit of an homage to Peter Doig, that particular one. But anyhow, back to Peter Doig. I think he's known for what's called magical realism, which is something that I've looked at that 30 years of what I've been doing. That there's a bit of truth to. I have a very similar style where I take realistic subjects and I try to make them magical, like with the brushstrokes are impressionistic, but I'm not an impressionist in the true sense, because I like to mix things up and change them. Anyhow, with this particular painting, I was thinking, and I haven't looked at this painting that Peter Doig did for maybe a month or two, but I think it's a painting of a house in Rosedale. And what's really unique about his painting is that I think he painted the negative spaces. There's all these like wispy little white branches and trees covering the whole front of it. It's almost even a little bit messy. I like it. And behind it, as you can see, this really wealthy person's Rosedale house. So over here, I was kind of like thinking that's kind of a cool effect. So in the sense, I was influenced by Peter Doig, and this particular one was, I just like that effect. So if you look at the actual photograph here, I don't know if you can screen on screen and we'll see it very well. There isn't really a building behind the trees. I'm just making it up. There is sort of like an impression of a building behind trees, but I like to I very much make up stuff as I go. Like I don't usually use photographs too much. For this one, it's important because I want to get the colors. I like the composition. I like the fact my mom took this photograph, so there's something there. But anyway, up here, I've already started to have like these angular lines coming down, and you can sort of see that building, and with these wispy kind of lines. So there's the Peter Doig in there. And Monet's colors, always loved, especially the watercolors. Especially the water lilies. And I'll bring in some of my own kind of flatter brush strokes coming in. I'm not sure. I think maybe. Oh, I know Odile Rodin kind of. I picked up some of his stuff where he'll mash it, and my own kind of stuff. I don't know. I think it kind of blends over to become my own thing. Okay, now I'm gonna shut up. And I'm going to start. I'm just sort of only on my second coffee. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play some Chopin, which seems to be some nice background music. This is the Complete Nocturnes played by Brigitte Angerière, something like that. So it'll just give me a little bit of something to listen to in the background. All right. Enough talking. All right. What do I want to do? Oh, I know what I want to do. Little bits of the Scilla flowers, whatever they're called, grew into the main grass area. So I'm gonna carry some of them over. I didn't clean my brushes from the last painting I finished, which was the birches with orange, but it's got a bit of white in it. So I'm just gonna go in and let my fingers do the walking. And I think what I want to do is I like the fact that there's this light. There's a nice sense of light. Mix it on the canvas because I'm too lazy to get a color palette here. Need some white. Okay, so I'm gonna take some of these colors. We'll need a bit of green. It was probably a mistake to be that lazy and put so much paint on the canvas right here, but I really don't think about it too much. I just sort of do things. Okay, so what I'm trying to do here is mix the color of the grass as I remember it. And I think, so they're going to be like little kind of tweaks and stuff. I just want my hand sort of, it's like I'm using the force to create it. I know, you know what it feels like? It feels like my right hand, my painting hand, my primary hand, it has a life of its own, and I need to sort of give it a little bit of guidance. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm sort of telling that hand to go over here, go down here. Yeah, that's kind of weird. So that's the fun thing about being an artist. You have to be weird and no one gives a shit. Or it's eccentric. If you're successful and you're rich, you're eccentric. So that's my goal. I want to be eccentric. Where I can wear, like, you know, a scarf. Not a scarf, like I wear, like, you know, I don't know what the hell, I'm not into fashion. I wear a black t-shirt and every single day of my life practically. But you know, those dudes who they wrap that thing around them. It's like a, yeah, I gotta get myself one of those. Actually, I have one. Someone, a girlfriend gave me one. I still have it somewhere. Lexi gave it to me. It was a very nice present. I think out of the blue she got me this kind of scarf thing. And it was more like a summertime scarf. But like I said, as someone who doesn't like, I don't like wearing fashionable things. I don't like wearing rings or jewelry or have any tattoos. I mostly didn't wear it. But I appreciated the gift. It was very nice of her. And now Lexi is happily married, and I'm very happy for her. And Lexi is a super talented woman. Holy shit. So not only being extremely bright, she got her master's in some sort of management stuff. She was an incredible martial artist. Like, insane. Like, and she's an excellent painter as well. It was amazing. She was just doing these paintings of a ship as a hobby, and I was like, and I'm a pretty intense judge about when it comes to what I think is good art. I was impressed. Like, I was like, wow. we had a, I think, a very good relationship that took its course. You know, we dated for, I don't even know how many months. It just sort of took its course, and we both kind of knew this wasn't meant to be. And you know, we remained friends. Although friends for me is like, if I don't see someone for 2 years and I see them again, they're still as if I just didn't see them tomorrow. Like for me, time passage just doesn't change my friendship at all. So it'd be nice to see her again. I know that she's done a lot of traveling. I think her and her husband went away somewhere. I didn't, because we're on Facebook. I could sort of keep track of what people are up to and things like that. I think they went to Turkey, maybe. I'm not sure, but she looks happy. That's good. What I'm doing here, so I'm attempting to approximate the light that was also happening within the photograph. But at the same time, I'm doing my own thing. I'm not really making it like I'm not. Look at this. I'm just. It's an impression. It's a feeling. It's a gut. Why not? Can you even see this? Am I doing this right? Down here are like what these shadows are. I know exactly what these shadows are. These are the shadows of the branches of the trees, because in the backyard there's huge trees all around. So some of them are casting light down, and I'm just going to have fun with making them kind of come alive. So what I need to do needs more. Okay, I'm going to bring in some of those beautiful blues now. I need a brush. Let's test out. Oh, that's some people's on. Hey, love to watch your genius at work. Well, thank you. And Nailene, Cherries, hello. Okay, so this brush is round and it's got a great spring to it. So I love brushes like this because you know it's going to hold the paint well, and also once it's wet, it should taper nicely. So here I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to dip it in the water. I just dipped it in the water, and when I do this, you should see, or hopefully see, the tip kind of comes together. It doesn't branch off. So because this is a larger painting, this is a 48 by, I'm gonna guess 48 by 60 maybe? Yeah. The size of the brushes will just be right. So I'm gonna look for some blues. I'm gonna go to this plastic color palette thing. I mean, this plastic temporary, what do you call this fucking thing? Okay. I'm gonna bring in a different kind of brush stroke. Look at that. It's gonna be kind of like gripping the paint below it. Because it's important that your brush strokes evolve and change as you go to different depths, right? That you're not gonna, you want to give a different impression of the same thing, but at different depths. So these ones are going to be larger and closer to what the flower might look like. They have similar shape, but as you get further up, look at this. So there's a dark area here. I wonder if I should show I think the iPad for you guys is just going to be a blurry little dot. Won't help at all. But I'll post up the photograph when I'm done. Hello from Saskatchewan. Right on. I love my Canadians. And Anna Maria. I don't know what "say bravissimo" means, but that sounds complimentary. So thank you, I guess. All right, Saskatchewan. I don't know, man. When I was a kid, my family, we drove across Canada in an RV, and I was pretty young. It was my brother, me, my two sisters, my parents, and I. So for sure, I've been to Saskatchewan, but I don't have memories of it. I do have memories of my brother sitting down in a cactus. It was pretty funny. And the poor guy had to have cactus spikes pulled out of his ass, off of his ass, I should say. And I do remember some very cool stuff going on the glaciers. Now, that might have been Alberta, or I don't even, sorry, it's not Saskatchewan. And my brother and I used to sit on top, I don't know if they still do this, but in RVs back then, we're talking like late 70s here. Above the driver was a little hutch, just enough for like two kids to squeeze in. So my brother and I would sit there, and we'd be going through like Saskatchewan or Manitoba, and it's just like so boring. Nothing's happening up there. And we would, I don't know, games we'd play. We'd sort of play kind of like in Do I Spy games. So we drove all the way to Vancouver, and we finally stayed with some good family friends on, was it Victoria Island? Vancouver Island? And I remember very vividly staying, I remember this is how I have a weird memory. I must have been very young, but I remember the layout of their house. They had a son there named Graham Gish, who was just about a year older than me, and I remember their bunk beds, and I remember where I slept. And he actually ended up going into a very similar industry as mine, video game industry. I think he worked at EA for a while. Okay, so I want to come back to these flowers. I kind of have to make the paint color just right. No glaciers here, but yes, Alberta, yeah. Okay, so these colors, they're not blue. There's a slight bit of purple in them. So I have a bit of purple, which I mix in with this blue, and I kind of, oh, that looks like nice. That looks good. So I'm just gonna bring it in here. It's almost like they have patches of this stuff. So let me just do a couple of these. Who's my other favorite? Chagall. He didn't give a shit. He just started. He wasn't even a good painter, to be honest. I mean, he had a great sense of he had a great sense of color and composition. But I mean, he wasn't like a talented painter in the traditional sense. But he was unique. And he's still one of my favorite painters because he created something that I want to kind of bring back in a way, which is the romance of and beauty of art. I'm not a fan of the nihilistic modern art. It was so obvious to me that art was just sort of being taken to one particular, inevitable conclusion. Like Dadaism is sort of where it died, but they just kept on trying, going further, and it became like intellectual masturbation for me mostly. And so I stopped even caring about the art world, and I felt like I was always outside the art world. And that's very true. I never tried to be part of the art world. I didn't want to be part of the art world. I don't want to be part of people having discussions about the meanings of a red streak of line, and too much because a lot of art that has quote unquote value, it has to do with money laundering. at the very, very high end. A lot of extremely expensive artwork. If you look at like Damien Hirst stuff, that has to do with like billionaires who want to either, put their money in something that they can be, a tax haven, and potentially as an investment. And it's not an appreciation because the art is so good. It's because it's become a mechanism, like what's it called? Bitcoin. So there is no intrinsic real beauty to, Damon Hirst's rotting flesh in the thing. That was just like pretentious nonsense. So what I want to get back to is something where an average person, you don't have to have an art degree. You could just look at something and go, you know what? That's fucking beautiful. That speaks to me. Or that's a horrifying thing there, but it still has meaning. You know what I mean? Like the one I'm really excited to finish is the the red canoe, where I don't even mention it's a burqa, because there's a lot of things symbolic in there that are relevant, especially today, especially in Canada, and definitely the States and stuff. But it's not trying to it's got to have skill and some, I love the juxtaposition of being this beautiful Algonquin setting, which is a large part of my life was being in the Algonquin, up north, spending time in Northern Ontario. I love Northern Ontario, man. That's one of my dreams is to move up there. Love Northern Ontario. So there's nothing false or pretentious about that. It's just that I want to, show off the beauty of what we have. I've been able to travel around the world a lot, very lucky. And I know there's all kinds of beautiful places around the world, but, Ontario's my home. And I kind of want to be a modern Coupe 7 meets Chagall with a little bit of Gustave Klimt there and some romance from Monet, and also some romance from Chagall, that abstractedness, like he just would put, a couple in love flying in the sky. I love that. So these days I'm mostly doing, what does it say? Did you prepare my canvas? No, it was already pre-gestoed. These days I've just been buying canvases. So this is to answer Allison Ford. Let me just turn down the music. Turn down the music. What I've discovered that's pretty important these days is having a base layer of colors. For many times I'd paint straight on white, but it's good to do a wash, I find. So in this one, I've been live streaming all these paintings for the past couple months, so you can see every step of the way. So if you go back to what's the thing called? Sandy's Garden with Scilla Flowers. Go to part 1 of the live stream and you could just see how I started off. I probably drew with a brown or a purple neutral color, the composition, and then I went with a big brush and started splashing around the colors. It's fun. I'm going to Mythwood Campground. I don't know where that is. But I'll get to it's been very hot here. Allison, it's be prepared to for the heat. The heat is crazy. So just be a little careful when you're out there camping. Okay. What's missing? Okay, I know what's missing. I need to have more contrast with the background. Maybe I'll bring in some purples here too. Oh, wait. That's not purple. Just for the hell of it, just why not? Nothing. This doesn't exist anywhere except for just me doing this. So I'm just gonna have some fun with it. Why not? This is to show where the building ends, I guess. So the building is gonna end there. Now this is too perfect. So I'll give you some scratchy pieces of grass. Okay. Some more scratchy pieces of grass. I'll give them to you. Here you go. And this is that spot that I started off this morning, which I used as easels. Definitely was a problem. I think it might be beneficial to have some wetness. Sometimes it's really fun just to go in with too much wetness and let the streaks fall. I kind of like that. I don't want it to be too obvious, but I do. That's kind of like that free-flowing messiness that really appeals to me sometimes. And I probably, with this type of oil paint, I probably have about 3 or 4 days where I can do that. Otherwise it starts drying up. But then the cool thing is I can now work with layers of color. Right? Let's put a little bit of, no, it's just too hot yellow. I need to mix it with white. Okay. Okay, here's some white. Where's that? Oh, I probably put the hot yellow on the brush. So there's the hot yellow, which is going to be too intense, but I'll mix it in, and it brings me to this kind of very nice light lime color. That's actually exactly what I'm going for right there. The camera is making it a bit bright because of the light. There it is. See that sort of nice yellowish, slightly green color? That's going to come in, and I'm going to bring it down. Bring it over here. I'm going to, I should have put more of it on my paintbrush. Damn it. Out of it already. But I need to bring more yellow in. Yeah, there we go. Because I want there to be a bit more sense of light. It's almost like shadows. Let me play with the shadows a bit. Yeah, so hopefully you can feel there's like, you can still have light coming in here. Right? And there's still lots of nice light white along the bottom. I think I need to go a bit more extreme in the colors. It's okay to be a little cautious when you start it off, and then build up, and build up. You know what I mean? Seems like there are these things there, and then wonderful clarity on this. Oh yeah, so Melissa, I spent hours and hours. I actually, check this out. I have a dedicated laptop down there that I spent reconfiguring from scratch. I spent so much time. I finally got like the high-end mic, a good camera. Oh my god, I don't know how not, like, I'm very, very technical. Like I used to build video games for a living, right? So about the high-end, very complex systems. So I don't know how the average schmo is gonna like get streaming to work, at least in this kind of a configuration, because I'm doing something special. I'm not just streaming to YouTube. I mean, I'm not just streaming to Facebook. I'm actually also saving a live recording to my hard drive at a better resolution. And it may seem like not a big deal, but trust me, it is, you know. And I'm also doing, I don't have an Ethernet connection, so this is a wireless stream. So you ever try, I think I could write a book now on streaming for Facebook. And if Thiago, if you're listening to me, I've learned a whole bunch of stuff that I could probably tell you about. I stuck with OBS software. I think it's the right way to go because I want to be able to record to my hard drive. And also, the Restream thing, you got to pay $20 a month if you want to stream to Facebook. It's one of the, you can stream for free for about 30 different services, except for Facebook. So $20 US just for the privilege of also restreaming to Facebook, which it wasn't really worth it. Plus, you have to pay a $2 an hour encoding fee if you want to do the thing I want to do, which is saving at a different and encoding at a different resolution. So Thiago's a former student of mine who we were talking about streaming a bit. And the other thing, Thiago, here's the thing that drove me nuts and took me a while to find out. But Facebook allows you to encode at 720p, 30 frames a second, at a maximum of 4,000 bit rate on the upstream. Okay? Once it's saved on the servers, if you want to download it, their HD is like 640. So you actually will never have a true HD copy. You'll have that shitty little small copy. So that's the reason why I have to. I don't want to like just put on Facebook. Like let's say I want to show it somewhere else. I'm forced to do a download to a separate file. So I finally got my OBS to behave, and right now that's what it's doing. It's recording locally at 720p, 400 bit rate, which is very good quality for 720. And there is no drop frames, there's no blurriness. And it was literally tweaking tons of little settings, working with the hardware and software. And I almost gave up. In fact, I did give up. I gave up, I think, yesterday or the day before when I did a painting just from my iPhone. Like, I just wanted to do painting. I was sort of sick of messing around with these computers. So unfortunately, that particular painting will never be in HD. It'll always be on a crappy Facebook resolution. Now, it's possible they'll change that setting, but who knows? Okay, so let's go in and let's do something. I'm going to go in with this same brush. I might need a thinner brush. Yeah, I really like how the texture is shaping up too. Hear what you mean? Yes, I'm working off a photo. I'll show you. Unfortunately, my printer sucks. So I tried printing out the photo, but I'm not using that. So instead, because also the colors are off. It's instead I'm taking the picture directly from my mom's Facebook page. So this is like my mom's Facebook page profile picture, and I'm using the iPad. So there's the photo. And like I said, I don't normally use photos, but this one is kind of a little different because it is like the place I grew up. And also I think it's a beautiful photograph. I just like the composition. So yes, I am using a photo as reference. But all this stuff here is just sort of, what I do is I look over here, I get an impression, and then I let my hand sort of like create more of an try to like none of this stuff I'm doing right down here exists other than a general shape over here. I really like how the texture is shaping. Oh yeah, okay. Sorry, I didn't see, but are you working? Okay, I'm all caught up on reading your text. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to get into more of these branches. These branches, I'm going to try to make them kind of delicate. This brush may be too thick, but there's a plethora of. Oh yeah, that's wrong. That's not going to work. Maybe I'll use that blue. to help establish some of the roots that are coming off of here, right? That blue is probably, or purple, whatever it is, might be good for some of these things. Kind of showing through occasionally, but I need more of the browns and pinks. So what I'll do, I'll start with this. You can see me over here. I've got two places where I keep my paints. These are my over here is where I keep about 10, 20 to 25 paints with my water that I'm most likely using. And over here, I don't know if you can quite see it, are 4 boxes full of paint. So there's probably about 150 of the large bottles, things I have as backup or colors that I need eventually. Okay, what am I doing? Branches. So this brown, when I add white, turns into a gross gray. And look at this, happy little blue decided to come down and visit. So I got a feeling if I take some of that blue and that white and I mix it together with the brown, it's going to create a color that's going to be much more appropriate. And unfortunately I need a new brush. Way over here, I've got my, here also I'll show you what I also keep handy. This little tray here is my pre-selection of brushes that I'm most likely to use. And I don't know if you can see that. So these are all brushes that are washed and ready to go, and they represent, I've checked all their heads to make sure they're clean and ready. But I also have a box of, I don't even know where to put it. Oh yeah, here it is. A box of quite a few other brushes that are like backup brushes that most of them are pretty good. And then recently, about a week ago, I went through and I purged, and it was kind of like a little sad moment for me because I had about 30 brushes that, you know, I just had to throw out because they were just lived their prime. But they're brushes I've had for like 20 up to 30 years, and I even remember the paintings that I used them for. So I had to toss them out. So I had to do a purge. The hell am I talking about now? Okay. Right, I know what I need. I need a new brush because I need to go in here, and there's sort of intricate brambles. So I'm going to create a design of light white grayish intricate brambles over here. I'm going to have a couple white ones as well, sort of coming behind. Here's going to be more of a brownish set of brambles, and that is kind of what I see in the painting. And I think I like the composition. So I need to put this brush away. This brush away. I need to go get through my set. Let's see. I think something of a fairly controlled. I need it to be something that can do fine work, but keep a lot of paint. So I'm going to elect this brush as a test. Show you a couple. Here's a couple brushes that mostly I kind of created them in how I cut them. This brush is the one I think I'm going to use because it's long enough and it will go to a fine point and it'll keep enough paint. This is a really good brush, which really isn't even a brush anymore. It's just a couple of hairs at the very end, but it's very good for drawing and then doing my initial drawings on the painting because it's almost like a pencil, but it won't make any smooth lines. And this is where I've done this. I've cheated a bunch of times where I've actually snipped the hairs on a brush similar to this one, and you see it becomes almost like a point, like a knife point. So at the very top is probably only about like 10 hairs, and allows me to do like almost like calligraphy work, as long as the paint's very wet. So what I want to do right now is this one. So I'm going to go over here, and I'm using this purpley brown bit. I want to lighten it up. I don't like the gray it's evolving into, so let me just bring it over here to more of a blue gray, and let's see what happens. It should be thin, needs more water. It should be much more delicate. Yeah, so I could easily do thin lines with this. Although it may not work out quite well because it looks like halfway through the brush it might be too brittle. Yeah, it looks like it might be too brittle. I can still work with it though. Okay. So my intention here is to start creating, like, looking at all the intricacies of this photo and then creating my own version of it. So maybe the idea is I do one layer of this darker color, and I just know branches, they always, like a fractal, they always like start separating out further and further above. So, you know, and also these particular trees, I've noticed when they branch out, they sort of like take a hard curve off. Boom. I know because I've hit my head many times trying to crawl under these stupid branches. Okay. The proper way of doing this one, I think, is probably, honestly, I should be doing an underwash. Yeah, an underwash of more brown. So I'm going to do brown and red together and some white. So I've got some lighter brown. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint the negative space. So if I go like this, it's as if the color behind it becomes the branch. So I like doing that a lot. Kind of like what I was doing up here. It's you know, as if these are the clouds, but these are the trees showing through. So I like to do that technique. It throws it in. It kind of makes it a bit my own kind of style. And so what I'm doing is I'm feeling out how it is over there by just adding in some of this stuff. I think it needs more red. I think that's also important too. Is you always never keep the same color. Always put two slightly different hues together. I think that helps a lot, and it gives your eye kind of like it makes your eyes happy. It gives you like a bit of a relief. I think it's because it's what we expect to see in real life, is we expect to see variations. And I think that's why, do you guys know, Dan, what's up, man? So if you know, who's the painter that does the big colors? Mark Rothko. So if you look at Mark Rothko stuff, there really isn't much into it. Like, honestly, he was laughing his fucking ass off doing those paintings. Loving that the art world was eating it up and buying them for hundreds of thousands of dollars, when he was just taking a bunch of colors and just squishing them together. And you know, and I don't buy for a second about, oh, there's all this crazy subtlety. I've seen lots of Mark Rothko. And what it is, though, is he tapped into something about the human nature where we are affected by color, you know? And he tapped into the fact that these nice, calm shapes make us feel stable, because if you notice, they're vertical and horizontal, right? Things are at lines create a sense of movement and chaos, but things that are vertical and horizontal create a sense of calmness. And because the colors can be powerful, they stir up different emotions in us. So I get Mark Rothko's stuff, and I get why people can see there's intrinsic beauty to it, because it appeals to you directly as a human. And so no fault to him there. But, and also, he was the first to do it. Essentially, as far as I know, maybe there were people that did it beforehand, but he developed this brand. He developed this thing where you could immediately recognize Mark Rothko's giant bunch of bunches of color. I just think in the, and he has this place in the history of art. And that's cool. That's cool. Because it's really hard. I mean, one reason why I stopped showing is I felt everything was already done before. So, and it was very important for me not to be like anybody else. Like, it's okay I have no problem being influenced by people, but I still wanted to create something that would only be, that you'd go that and go, holy shit, that's Josh, right? And so I've tried so many different styles, and I just simply haven't shown anybody before. And yeah, so interesting. I'm putting these grays in here, and it wasn't bothering me. I always go by my gut. I want to add more of that red peach color to the spot. So there's like a spot here, and sometimes I like to go in with very small little brush strokes. That sort of like, I don't know, it kind of means like I care, like I cared. I wasn't just throwing paint on. The worst kind of art to me is the art that's mechanical, like where they'll throw paint on. The epitome, Peter Jackson. No, Jackson Pollock, for example, is the beginning of the bullshit for me. It's like, I'm sorry, but that's not greatness. That was, I've got some great theories on that. Some great conspiracy theories, which are conspiracy facts, I should say, about why people are appealed to Jackson Pollock. No, Jackson Pollock? Yeah. And I actually did a painting about it. Like there's this artist in Toronto, and he basically hooked up a bicycle wheel to a platform that spins, and then he pours paint on it and spins it around, and then this paint comes off, and it's all swirly and different. And I look at that and I go, okay, yeah, why not? I mean, I'm glad people are experimenting and being something creative, but to me, there's no heart in that. There's no soul in that. That's just it'll speak to some people. And I guess, you know what it is? Those aren't the people I want to speak to. I want to speak to people who appreciate, I guess, true originality. Who appreciate seeing something that's beautiful, that's not just a decoration, that's not just meant to be a painting that goes in someone's living room, because I really don't, that's definitely not the direction I'm ultimately interested in. I like my paintings to have a kind of meaning. Each painting I do always has a meaning. It just may not be obvious. Like, and until I started talking about it, like I'm yabbering on now, no one would probably know that this is literally meaningful to me, because I grew up here. I stood here, and my mom worked laboriously to build this garden, right? This is one of her pride and joys is she made this space. And she also relished the fact that us kids would play in this garden. She loves it. And every year, like if we're in if we're nearby, we got to move pots and all this kind of ridiculous stuff, and I don't mind, because this is something that makes my mom happy, and this is a part of who she is, and it's a part of being a Druckmann. I'll tell you what. Everyone who knows the Druckmans knows our garden. That's how big it is. The Druckman garden is famous amongst our friends, and there have been articles written about it because of its location and just how it's this beautiful space out in the middle of the center of Toronto, where you would never know unless you walked by and saw what this place was like. So I was so blessed to be a part of this. You know what I mean? I was blessed. There's a woman here. Here's another painter that I like. I found on Instagram. I'm just remembering. Her name is Wendy something. And what's that? She's a Canadian artist, and I should go meet her. I'm just gonna go to my Instagram, which I suck at Instagram. But her name. Come on, Wendy, where are you? And it's relevant why I'm trying to find her. Okay, how do I search? I'm not big on Instagram. Wendy. Come on, Wendy. W-E-N. There she. Her name is Wendy Birmingham. And why I bring her up is because she has very good sense of creating these Ontario landscapes, but with a sense of light, and she always has light coming behind things. Let me just pull up one. I don't know if you could see this. Probably not very well, but Wendy Birmingham. Let me show you another one. Here's another one. Okay. Where's the camera? So as you can see how there's like light coming behind the trees, and behind here there's a lake. I'm inspired by that, and so when I say I steal from people, I am absorbing constantly for years and years. Well, here's a nice one. You can't see very well. Let me find another one. Yeah, this one will do. Can you see this? See the sense of light behind it? Like, it's just beautiful. It's gorgeous. And so, when I think of Wendy's, and I should meet her. She's she's in Toronto, right? So Wendy, if you ever come across my stuff, let's get together, go for coffee, and I don't know, shoot the shit, because I don't talk to a lot of people in real life. I kind of I'm a hermit, and mostly because, to be honest, most people bore the shit out of me. I need to have a certain. I don't like talking about. I'm not a small talker. Put it that way. So as soon as the small talk comes out, it's like my brain begins to get compressed. I can't stand it. But I'd be willing to talk to her because I respect what she's doing, and I like what she's doing. And it'd be kind of nice to know that, hey, that you as a person, you've inspired me to do something that to remind me, for example, that I need to have more light come out through. Like up here, there needs to be more light. Like I need to have more of a contrast. And I'm going to do it my own way, right? But I'm still going to kind of feel like I want to say thank you in a way. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. So what's up here? Well, this is kind of neat. There's actually bits of the, I'm going to put like little sprinklings of the white hitting this so it's not so perfect, because that's what the grass is doing, isn't it? And this one needs to have way more blue. And there are these crazy bits of light that are hitting the grass and all these little pieces. So what I'm doing now is I'm trying to throw down some light. Okay, and actually, there might be some, I need that green. Yeah, this green right here. It needs to come out more. Like this. here too, this lightness. It's that gray I was telling you about before. These gray brambles. I like this. This is this little dark green blue cloud, and it's really just trees coming through, and I know exactly what trees these are. These are these like spiky asshole trees that when you try to climb under them, they always prick you. So I know exactly what trees they are. But I just like the way it came out. It came out kind of nice. So I think I need some lighter brown. Haha. I'm gonna bet this is still kind of dark. Yeah. Actually, no, this might work out. This is a very... It's not really existing in this painting. Oh, no, actually, that's kind of nice. Let's just do this. So what I'm doing now is trying to approximate what this particular section might be. And I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to make patterns. I'm not even going to follow what that is. I'm just going to go in here with the shapes I had, and I'm going to go with creating these. Well, let me show you what I mean. I'm going to go in and create designs and patterns that I've done in a whole bunch of paintings recently. Like I've done it in the Birches with Fire series. Sorry, Birches with the Warren series. I've done it with so many different ones where I'll go in and I'll, especially the, what's that series I was doing? Secret World of Hikimori, where I'll find shapes and I'll just create them. Like they don't even exist anywhere. Like they don't even make sense. So I'll take different shades of colors, different types of colors, and I'll just follow these. And I'm doing two things at once. One is I'm attempting to keep them feeling like branches, but I'm also creating, like, see how I'm circling this thing? You'll find me doing that quite a lot in a lot of other paintings. It's just something it feels good. I can't remember where I started doing that. And sometimes I might just bring a brush right across. I can get more paint there. I might just get a brush right across. And also too, they come down here, right? So to me, this is painting. This moment right here. To me, this is like I'm making art now, finally. You know, no more bullshitting around. To me, this is more like, you know, I can be proud of doing this. I can think of artists that I've always respected and loved, and I feel and I know that I'm with them, that I'm a peer. That it's not about being who's good. It's just you're in the same zone, you know. Look at this. Why not make these circular things appear there? I think I'm gonna add some white now. Okay. I think the white is actually quite important. Like for some reason I had look at these gentle brushes coming through, where it all sort of becomes uncertain where that white was from. Like here, it kind of comes and they blend up and they blend up. So this is going to take me some time to finish. I can tell. For me to make this like as close to a masterpiece I can make it, it will take time. It will take time for me to step back and look at it and think and watch it grow and evolve. You know what I mean? Like, See, I'm doing varying up the brush strokes all the time, doing something different. Where's the picture? Okay, like here, I haven't done this probably. Why don't I do a whole series of white, just blasting through. It's missing a whole bunch of patch. Okay, that's a little bit thin. Okay. And it's probably at a weird angle too. Hold on. Let me just loosen this camera up here. I might take a break soon. It's weird. I feel like I go for about an hour, and then it starts to hit me. I get it, like my energy goes zero, and I have to like, just take a break. So I'm gonna guess I'm probably somewhere around the 45-minute or hour mark. I have no idea. Usually I just go with what my body tells me. What should I do? Let's look back at it for a second. Sorry for all the movement. I'm trying to adjust this thing. Okay, so something's coming along. It's not bad. Not bad. I think that I'm gonna want. Definitely gonna want to walk. Here's some pure white. I'm just gonna bring across here. I'm gonna bring some splashes of it down here. These strange little markings, which I notice on the paint in the artwork, and I just know it's like blades of glass hitting the light. But I'm gonna do them in such a way that you're not quite sure what the hell they are. Definitely needs more white poking through here. I kind of look at that. It's very nice. It's very pretty. Very beautiful. I definitely have to come in with more of this blue. Here appears to be some sort of whiteness happening there. More whiteness here. Yeah, ultimately that's where I want to get to. I want to get to where it feels like one of those hot summer days when I was playing with my brother when, I was like 16 and he was about in his early 20s and we were just destroying each other, My brother and I were definitely like to be competitive in our own ways. Very funny. Brother's a very interesting guy. He lives in a different world. He lives in the world of these super elites. He is the true Illuminati, but he doesn't know it. Yeah, I think up here it needs to be more of that kind of grass vibe. So do I have any paintbrushes with blue? Yes, I do. Just you. Nope, stick some on you. That's kind of cool. Maybe it will work. Ooh. Is it break time yet? Am I ready to take a break? Maybe I'll do one last smidgen. Put some blue on my hand. Put some white on my hand. Sometimes I like to do this because it's easier than getting a color palette. And I'd only do this if this was water-based oils. So just be clear, I'm using... These are oil paints, but they're water-based oils, so they're not nearly as toxic as using true oil paints. So just, if you ever get into oil paints, you know, you want to keep your hands pretty clean, because linseed oil is not like super great for you. And constantly mixing, you know, clean your hands in turpentine, not so great. But this water-based oil stuff has been like, man, I'm loving it. A miracle for me. Because I can paint in here and there's no odors. You know, no toxicity that I am aware of. Could be wrong and I could be being poisoned as we speak, but I don't think so. So it's almost like I need to do this kind of like bit of this kind of like more miscellaneous impatient stuff over here. And a little bit of yellow. Oops, wrong brush. Maybe this, my wrist. Yeah. I just need to lighten it up a bit. I need to come into here and bring some light. What I'll do is I'll bring in whites now, and then I'll bring in some yellows on top of it, because I don't want it to be pure white, whatever. That won't look as good. Here, right? And this area needs a bit of loving. So right now it's a bit white, but that will probably be remedied in the near future. Okay, all right. All right, maybe it's time for breakage. Do you think it's time for breaks? I think it's time for a break. This is going to be the white sky coming through so that there is a bit of understanding that it's not just all the trees. So just that, I'll do that. And over here. Maybe it's kind of like the far away, so maybe it's like a blur effect. Maybe that's what I'll do. Okay. I'm gonna blur you up a bit. Okay, I think that's a good place to stop. There you have it so far. Well, maybe I'll zoom in. You can see some bits. So can't go too far across because the camera has a cable attached to it. And that's the spot I really like up there. Let me just sink the camera down. Sorry, give me a sec. This is what's happening down here. There you have it. So I am going to take a break. I'm definitely covered in paint. And I hope you enjoyed this little Bob Ross painting moment. And I have lots of other work I need to do. What I'm kind of excited though is to get back and finish this one here. It's behind plastic, but it's the red canoe one. I'm very excited about finishing that because I actually have two more ideas that are along a similar vein, where there's a salient icon being juxtaposed in a place that I love, which is Algonquin Park. And I'll give you a hint. It's going to be Terry Crews. Probably just the top of his head. So, because if you know Terry Crews, you'd recognize his top of his head, and he's going to be like submerged in this plastic kind of water. And if you haven't been following him, he's the guy. He's a super cool actor, and he's also, like, from what I understand, he's also a great guy, and he's actually suing the head of his agency for sexually assaulting him. They're at a party, and Terry Crews was with his wife, and this is from his testimony. So it is true as far as what I understand to be. And the top agent like grabbed his junk basically, and in front of his wife. And Terry was man enough not to beat the shit out of him, and he actually composed himself, and he's now suing this guy, or I'm not sure he's suing them or he's pressing civil charges, but it's the fact that men can be sexually assaulted too. But he also, Terry Crews to me represents the epitome of what a good man is, and also like very positive masculinity. So the idea behind this painting, which I haven't started, is that he's submerged as if is he drowning? Or is he coming back from life, like being reborn, like a baptism. But he's also juxtaposed those in, you know, this beautiful Algonquin kind of like environment. And I considered putting my hand resting on top of his head, because I've always painted my hand in many, many drawings through my life, and it would represent like being someone pushing him down. Like maybe it was his, because I'm white and Terry's black, right? Like that was sort of like the idea that it'd be obvious that a white guy was oppressing him. And I'm not doing social justice warrior bullshit at all. What I'm trying to say is that it might represent his experience of being pushed down or held down. So I might do that, the hand, I might not, I might just make it this scene where you know it's Terry Crews just below the water. And I have actually 2 more ideas that are going to be along those lines. And just one thing at a time. So that's it. I'm out.